Hello and welcome. You're watching Hindustan Times. US President Donald Trump is arriving in Davos for the World Economic Forum today and is scheduled to deliver a speech to the world leaders gathering there. For more on this, DW correspondent Emily Leshner is joining us from Berlin. Emily, always good to see you. What do we know about Trump's agenda at Davos and the speech that he's going to deliver today?
Well, until very recently, President Trump had planned to talk about things like affordability and housing. But as tensions have escalated around the issue of Greenland, that has certainly changed. Trump is now reportedly going to speak about his intention to take the region through either a purchase or a seizure. Trump was asked last night how far he was willing to go to acquire Greenland, and he simply responded, "You'll find out." So this is the main, or one of the main, if not the main topic of discussion at Davos, and it's overshadowing a lot of the other conversations taking place there. There have also been reports that Trump might meet with leaders, EU leaders on the sidelines to discuss the issue of Greenland, but we don't have much else about that yet. And aside from this speech, Trump has invited CEOs from around the world to a reception he's hosting at the forum. But again, there are no specific details on what he plans to discuss with them.
So we have some sense of what he's going to say. What's been the reaction from European leaders at this point?
Yeah, there has. Several leaders have made pointed remarks directed at Trump. Some are lamenting what, they perceive as an irreversible shift in Western democracies. Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever said that his country wasn't sure it could count on the U.S. under Trump as an ally anymore. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney remarked that the old order was not coming back. French President Emmanuel Macron talked about how imperial ambitions are replacing democratic values. And then European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, yesterday, she delivered a strongly worded address to the forum yesterday, saying that Europe would be, quote, unflinching, united and proportional in response to Trump's threats. Now, she's referring, of course, to the threat of a U.S. takeover of Greenland, but also to Trump's tariff threats. That's to increase tariffs on up to 25% on the 8 countries that sent troops to Greenland for an exercise, including Germany. And von der Leyen spoke about Europe's commitment to free trade. She pointed to Europe's success in securing trade agreements with India and Mercosur countries recently.
Also, one big question is, what are EU leaders prepared to do if Trump continues to advance his campaign for Greenland?
Well, Macron has really tried to take the reins on a European strategy here. He says that the EU should be prepared to retaliate economically if that's what it takes to thwart Trump. Macron is referring to the European Union's anti-coercion instrument. That's a tool that he believes can prevent the Trump administration from escalating his campaign. And the anti-coercion instrument, it's sometimes referred to in Brussels as the EU's trade bazooka. That's because it's meant to be used as an economic defense mechanism against trade partners who make the kinds of threats that we've witnessed Trump make the last few days. It's a tariff package that targets not only goods, but also services. That's one of the things that makes it very powerful. And these services can include the services that big tech companies like Meta or Google's Alphabet provide. And the EU can also, through this bazooka, can force them to pay more taxes, because right now a lot of big tech companies in Europe are paying lower taxes than other smaller traditional businesses. So that's what makes the trade bazooka different from sanctions. And one other thing is that, unlike sanctions, the trade bazooka doesn't need consensus from all EU members. So, theoretically, it could be deployed much more quickly. In a sense, it's the EU's nuclear economic weapon. And I say this because it wasn't really designed with the intention of being used. It was really meant to be a powerful enough deterrent to stop a country from coercing EU member states to do something like, in this case, giving up land or risk tariffs or even worse, military action. So the EU has that in its back pocket. We'll see whether or not it needs to actually employ it.
All right, Emily, thank you so much for that report from Berlin. We'll have you soon.